Alright, so this past weekend, a brand new romantic comedy about faking the moon landing debuted into theaters. I had a chance to check it out. Here's my review. Alright, so this last Saturday, it was a weird day. I traveled up about an hour to the nearest city to go see the only theater that was playing Longlegs, and then I drove back down, and then I drove up a half an hour away to go with a bunch of friends to go see Fly Me to the Moon. I already reviewed Longlegs. You can go check it out in my channel. Spoiler alert, I loved it. I was really hoping that this would make a 2 for 2. I was kind of looking forward to this movie, you know. Unlike several other people, I didn't think it felt like a fake movie. I thought it felt like a real movie. I thought it looked pretty decent and pretty entertaining. And so I checked it out, and I had decent expectations going into it, but then again, with a story like this, there is easy ways that I can get bored during it. What do I think about it? I'm going to tell you right now in this review, real quick. We're at 188 subscribers. If we get to 200 in the next 2 weeks, there will be a special video coming for you guys. And with that said, comment down below what is your thoughts on Fly Me to the Moon. And with that said, let's get started. And the first thought when I think about Fly Me to the Moon is that this would be a perfect date night movie if I had a girlfriend, which I don't. This movie is just perfect for a date night. I went with a bunch of friends. It's got a great cast, it's got romantic parts in it, it's got funny parts in it. It's a perfect movie to either go with friends or go on a date night. Even some of my friends that I messaged after it to see what they thought of it, one of them said it was lit, one of them said it was buns, so that was their reactions to it. But personally, I had a good enough time with it. It's a fine movie to go sit in the theater and watch, and I think I would have enjoyed it even more if I saw it with a girl, which I didn't. So, anywho, on to the positives of this movie. The number one thing I think is the cast, and this is a cast of people I don't fully like. Channing Tatum, I don't really think that he is that great of an actor. I think he's highly overrated. Scarlett Johansson, I just don't like her for personal reasons, but I do really love them both in this movie. They both have great chemistry with one another. They can bounce off of each other perfectly. They have a romantic subplot that I'm involved in, and I thought it was pretty interesting in that aspect. The other cast too, we get people like Woody Harrelson in the movie, which I did not know until I was actually on my way home. My Marcus Theaters that I went to go see Longlegs has posters, and I was looking at the poster and I saw Woody Harrelson here, and I'm like, Woody Harrelson's in this movie? I did not know that. And he is delightful, as Woody Harrelson always should be. So the cast is pretty fun. It's got great chemistry with people. It's basically a summer blockbuster to where you go in and it's just fun to watch. It's got the jokes, and there's some that lands. There's some I get a full chuckle out of. I don't really fully belly laugh at any of these jokes, but there's some I got a chuckle out of. And it's entertaining. That's what we go to these movies for, is an entertaining time. It tells a story that I was pretty interested in about the faking of the moon landing. My personal opinion, I believe the moon landing was fake, so it was pretty interesting to see how they handled that, how they staged it, or how they said they staged it, and it was pretty charming and pretty funny, and there's some funny scenes that go along with that, and there's always parts in the movie that just keep me interested, excited to see what they're going to do next in this movie, and I was always invested inside of this movie, at least until we got to the very end. So it's a perfect definition of a summer blockbuster, where it doesn't have, it's not like an action blockbuster, but it's just a blockbuster where you go to the movies, you get movie stars, you get funny jokes, you get a story that's worth telling, and everything that makes it worth going to see in a theater, and I had a good enough time with it. There are quite a few problems in here. The main one, I think, is the movie is way too long. Off a 2 hour and 12 minute runtime, they could have slimmed that down to under 2 hours, maybe. And there's definitely scenes that could have been taken out. Like, there's this whole thing where at the end, they get up to space, you feel that accomplishment. Oh, but we're not done yet. We got to see them land on the moon, and it drags for about 10 minutes. I was really losing interest for about 10 minutes, and then it kind of pulls you back in to see how they faked the moon landing, how they, the moon landing they showed was real. no spoilers, but like an aspect in the end that they kind of pulled me back in, but it just kind of took me out of it for a little bit in the end of the movie. So yeah, there's that, and it definitely drags a little too long. There's a couple running jokes that I don't think fully work. There's one about a black cat that sometimes it'll show up that I don't really think that works, but the main problem is the pacing and the way it runs a little too long. If they put this movie under 2 hours, took out some of the scenes that really dragged, I thought this would have been a much better movie, because it's a summer blockbuster, it's entertaining, but it's also got those blockbuster things where it tries to go for too much, tries to tell more story than we actually need inside this movie, and it really just took me out of it near the end of the film. But overall, I thought it was decent. I thought it was a good time at the theater. It was entertaining. And so before I give you my final score for Fly Me to the Moon, I want to know what you thought of it. Down below in the comment section, make sure to subscribe while you're down there, and stay tuned in the coming days. It's going to be a busy weekend. We got the Acolyte review, the Boys review, Star Wars show ranking, we got the best horror movies of the decade, we got Despicable Me ranking. That's 5 videos that are coming out within the next 5 days, and I want you guys to stay tuned for those. And with that said, Fly Me to the Moon is a good enough time at the theater. It's charming, it's got a great cast, it's got parts that everyone will love, and it's worth going to the theater to see, even though for me it did kind of drag near the end of the movie and had a couple pacing issues along the way. So for that, Fly Me to the Moon is going to get a B from me. Again, stay tuned for all those videos coming in the next coming days. Make sure to subscribe so we can get to 200 by the end of July. And with that said, thank you for clicking on this video. Subscribe, join our army. Peace out.